Today's episode is sponsored by Zegama Beach Records. And did you see that announcement of ZBR Fest 2025? They've got February, Versus Self, Cinema, State Faults, Claybirds, Respire, Adobe Homes, Islet, Masanera, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, and much more. 2-day passes and tickets are available now at zbrfest.com. And don't forget to check out the new split by arafoadh and Mycel, which is going up at some point today. Arafoadh is Henning from Sulaloon's new band, and you do not want to miss that. Tickets at zbrfest.com and the rest at zegamabeachrecords.com. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you about our Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine. You can go there to get music sneak peeks, read zines, and all kinds of other fun stuff. That's patreon.com/humanmachine. And now, I'd like to play something for you. You're hearing 4 by Forktail, featuring my pal Thatcher Stevens on guitar and vocals. This song comes off their debut album, Olive, which you can find on forktailwi.bandcamp.com.
Joke anymore, no, this isn't a joke anymore. You keep knocking at my door. You keep knocking at my door. I know this isn't a joke anymore, no, this isn't a joke anymore.
I'm trying to be a bit more structured. A lot of the times, whenever I've done projects or stuff like that, especially with the Rise and Fall of a Dilapidated Home. It's never really been a structured thing. It's just whatever comes to mind. I record or I come up with something while recording. But I think because since Forktail recorded Olive, and since I went to school for audio engineering stuff as well, I've become a bit more structured, and that's very helpful because now I'm like able to plan things out a bit better musically, and it's not just me anymore, I guess, if that makes sense. Now I have people that I can also rely on to make awesome songs and stuff like that, and I have people to kind of not be a net necessarily, but to help push me and motivate me into reaching certain goals.
Yeah.
Especially when scheduling like recording and stuff like that. So it's been really nice. That change is really welcome, and I'm really happy that it's kind of all happened in the span of a year.
Yeah. One interesting thing I couldn't help but think of when you were talking about like you went to recording school. That's fantastic. But one of your recordings from last year where you recorded like on what I'm assuming is just like a microphone plugged into a cassette deck. So like
yes.
So like you went to school for recording, but still you're like, what if I just tried some really like really experimental-ish, or just what'll happen if I do this? Right.
I take a very Phil Elverum microphones-esque approach to a recording. I always kind of have, and he's always been like a really big inspiration on my recording techniques, because he's always just tried to get the rawness of the recording out in almost like an Albini-esque fashion, but I guess not as harsh. But yeah, I mean, I'm always ripe with experimentation and recording, and I'm always up for experimentation. And I'm never gonna stop doing that. I don't think. It's just so fun to experiment with all of that, especially when you can use the studio or use whatever you have as an instrument. It's just incredibly fun, especially tape, working with like 4-tracks and stuff like that are really interesting. It's a really interesting thing to kind of put up with.
Yeah. The one that I was talking about though, did you record to? Was that just like a cassette deck, or was that a 4-track?
It was a cassette deck. It was like I think it's a Kenwood, if I'm not mistaken.
Did it have a mic input? Is that what it was, or was it just like the mic input was built into it?
It had I think it had RCA in, and I just went from I have a Behringer Xenix mixer, and I just went in through that, and it actually came out really great. I was really surprised by how well it had come out. But
okay. So did you like into this mixer? Did you have like a couple mics into the mixer, or did you do like one mic? Because it's mostly like acoustic and vocals. So
yeah, I did one mic and a line in, and that was it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I used to have a cassette player that had just like I'm gonna get the size wrong because I'm just, you know, I don't know, it's like I don't know these things.
Right.
But it had the small input, you know. So if
Right.
you got a microphone from like, you know, the it's like the regular size of a headphone jack, you know, if you had a microphone that had that, or if you had an adapter. And I had like this really cheap, I still have the microphone, but
is it just like a Radio Shack mic or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. I still have the microphone, but the tape deck sadly got ruined in like my old basement. Like, long story short, but the toilet upstairs, like, it got flushed, and like that was all good, but when it got flushed, like that was like the last time that somebody went to the bathroom that night, and it never stopped running, and nobody knew because they were asleep,
no.
you know.
So did it like flood?
It flooded the basement, and the tape deck just happened to be like on this. There was basically like a kitchenette downstairs, and so it basically just happened to be on this kitchen counter that was right underneath the bathroom. So the tape deck got flooded and ruined, and I was really sad because, you know, I had been homeless before. I had moved states several times, but I had this cassette deck since I was a kid, and I had recorded like all kinds of like bands' demos on it and stuff. Like, I mean, I still have like Akameli demos and stuff that I recorded on it, and it was like one of these things where you're just like, this should not be able to sound this good, you know?
Right.
But it like, it did, like, whatever this shitty Radio Shack mic did. I don't know if it had like some modicum of like compression or something, because you could just put it in a room and like stuff would sound fairly balanced. Like, it wouldn't, like, obviously it just still sounds like one microphone going into a cassette deck, but it would sound pretty balanced. Like, you wouldn't, and not like an iPhone where it's just like all you hear is the cymbals going, you know. Like, it was wild. And so I was like, yeah, I mean, obviously the whole basement flood thing was pretty devastating in itself, but as far as the things that got ruined, like, it was a lot of record covers, like the vinyl
Yeah,
themselves weren't bad, but like
Okay, that's
the
good.
record covers
I
would
was-
be ruined. But that was, it was at the time it was like, wow, this really fucking sucks. Like I'm out a lot of
Right.
potential like like money that I paid for these record covers, etc. But in the end, it was like, well, I'll make some different covers, right? And so I mean lemons, right? So, but the cassette deck is like, shit. I can't replace that. I can't,
Right.
like unless he like went on some kind of secondhand site and it's probably like vintage and hundreds of dollars if you can find one,
Yeah. Like eBay or something.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then like who knows what shape it would turn up in, but anyway.
Right. I was about to ask, since you do run Middleman, was there anything from the like catalog or was there anything destroyed then as well?
Like I said, like there was a bunch of covers, that weren't like when it came to the records, like a lot of them did like it was like I had like shelves, so they were up on like decent enough shelves so that most
Okay.
of it didn't, but there was like a splash zone that some of it was in, right? Like from coming down through the ceiling. So the ones that got hit the most was actually the Coma Regalia Erosin Massacre 8-inch. Like a bunch of those covers got ruined. And that really sucked because those were like double-sided, like 2 screens per side. Like, so it was basically 4 screen prints on each one of these. And
Jesus.
but like none of the vinyl was ruined. Like it did, the center labels didn't get wet enough to worry about. Like none of that was ruined. It was just like, okay, you gotta get like a nice cloth and clean these, at this point. But like none of that stuff was ruined. It just a lot of covers. So it was like, damn, those covers took me fucking forever to print,
Right.
and now I gotta like figure something else out or like, whatever, or do them again, but that was most of it. And like, like some like some tapes, not a ton of tapes, just stuff like that. Nothing like that was like, oh, like this is an irreplaceable artifact kind of thing, luckily.
Right.
But yeah,
That's good.
yeah, I think there was, there was like a lot. It was a lot of little things, that added
Right.
up. But it was a big deal at the time, But now I'm just, it was wild too because the landlord was just like, the landlord came over and was like, I'm not gonna fix this,
My
and we
God.
were like, so when we go to leave or whatever, you're not gonna try to like be like, you need to pay me for these damages because this wasn't our fault. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that, but I'm not going to fix it either. And so there's just this big hole in the ceiling because like nothing upstairs got like messed up by the water coming down through, but the ceiling
Right.
downstairs was all drywall, so it got like ruined. And so there's this big hole in the basement ceiling. And he was like, I mean, if I had to have somebody come in here and fix this, like it would probably take them like months. Do you really want people in your basement for months? Like you got stuff going on. And I was like, oh, I see your point, and I certainly don't,
Yeah.
But it was a really weird situation. It was just like weird all around. But so
Right.
just like my friends would come over for practice and whatnot, and it's just like there's this fucking hole in the ceiling,
Cool. Yeah.
Didn't go all the way through, of course, but it was
Right,
weird,
but- Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's like obviously like yeah, I've done 4-track recordings before, and that's fun. And then, mostly it's just like the 8-input PreSonus into the computer now, but
Right.
I don't
yeah.
know. I always want to, I can't remember what it was, but I saw an album like last week that was like, this was all tracked on an iPhone. And I was like, oh, I've been wanting to do that.
Wow. Yeah.
Just what would happen, But so far I've only tracked a drum track on the iPhone. And
Right. I mean, GarageBand. Speaking of iPhones, I had a split come out recently with, I guess it was this past summer with Camp Ghost and Until the Snow Falls.
yeah, the end of summer split.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I tracked both of those songs on iPhone.
Oh, okay. So the one song is just acoustic, so I can get that all like easy enough. So the other song is like accordion and drums and vocals. So how'd you do that
Yes.
one?
It was very tricky. I think I did the organ first. It's like this old.
Oh, it's not an accordion?
It's not an accordion.
Oh, okay.
It sounds like an accordion.
kinda
It's
does,
very
yeah.
convincing. But it's actually I think it's a reed organ. And we've just had it for a long time in my house. I'm trying to find it. I can't remember what song it was. I think it was Don't Talk More, right? Yes, Don't Talk More.
It was the second track that you recorded. Yeah.
Yes. But I essentially did the organ first.
And was that one clean take, or did you had the intro part and then you had the part where the drums come in? Did you do that two separate ways and then make them meet, or?
I did do it two separate ways,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. I basically wanted to go for like a title track, Death Cab for Cutie type thing, as I always do, because I love how that song opens up. And so I did that first, and then I remember, if I remember correctly, I did organ, drums, and then vocals last. And I think I recorded harmonies while I was doing the organ. So it was all very bare bones, but I think it came out really well. And I think GarageBand, or whatever DAW you use on your phone, is super powerful already. It's already very powerful. And recently,
It's wild. My kids were like, one day they were messing around on their iPads, and I was like, "What are y'all doing?" And they were like, "We're making songs on GarageBand," and I was like, "What?" Yeah,
it's
like, cool.
really fun.
yeah.
I recently got enough money to get I bought a Mac, and then I bought Logic, and Logic is the same thing as GarageBand.
Really?
It's like literally the same UI and everything.
Huh.
Yeah, it's just a more, it's like the more expensive cousin of it.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, I mean, you can do everything with GarageBand if you need to. It's an incredibly powerful DAW. It's really mind-boggling how we went from like tape to Pro Tools and like Cubase to eventually just having a really powerful thing on our cell phones.
Yeah, it's wild. And I mean, but then again, like our cell phones probably have like more processing power than the computer I'm recording this on right now. So like, it's like, no offense, baby, I love you.
Yeah,
I've been recording on this for 15 years. Yeah, it's wild. And I mean, the recording, one thing that I like when I was listening, I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if this was like you recorded the organ and then like almost like looped it and then literally just like walked behind the drums and started recording the drums, because the way that the sound tapers off a little bit, like I was like, that sounds like that might have happened. But yeah, you doing it separately and meshing them up obviously makes a lot more practical sense. But that could have been a real adventure to be on, you know, like where
Yeah.
you just kind of, that's,
That would be a really cool thing to do. I've actually thought about doing that, just like looping something on an amp or something like that, and then recording the drums to it.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in doing that. And now that you brought that up, I kind of have to now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's something that I'm going to have to do.
We've
in the
done
near
it in
future.
different tracks. Like we've done that plenty of times, like over the course of Coma Regalia, like whenever I play drums. There's a live set on YouTube from one of those social distance fests where we played. The only time we've ever played our 12-minute song, Time's Run Out, is my wife and I played it on Social Distance Fest, and it was like a lot of like me like playing a guitar and then looping it and then playing the drums. And even before that, we used to do that with different songs, like where I would have like one pre-recorded loop, and then I would have one loop that I record on the fly, and then we would have another guitar player so we could have theoretically 3 guitar parts going while I'm playing the drums. And it's fun. It works better sometimes than others, you know.
Yeah.
Depending on like your level of excitement for the evening, you know, or like how much
Right.
you've eaten. Like,
Yeah.
like if you have like a sort of a sleepy day and that pre-recorded loop comes on and it's a little faster than you're currently playing, that's a little bit, you know, like
Yeah.
there's a bit of adjustment there. And but sometimes, and when it's like one of those things, like when it works and it works perfectly, you're like, it's such the feeling of accomplishment was like, oh shit, like this is awesome, you know.
It's
But,
it's euphoric almost.
Yeah.
It's very fun. I know in Riot Baby, the post-rock band that I used to be in, but I'm still in. It's like it's very flip-floppy. But we used to be a 2-piece, and a lot of the time we would have to loop guitar parts, and yeah, it would be a hassle some nights, but some nights it would just lock in and it would be amazing. It would work so flawlessly. So yeah, I mean, it definitely does depend on the person's mood.
Yeah, I mean, it feels
or
like
how they're feeling.
it depends on the technology as well to an extent, you know,
Yeah.
because you never know, like that split second that you're touching it, like is it gonna click the split second before or the split second after, you know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I have seen bands like with just like the Boss like looper. I've seen bands where it was like, I can't remember what band it was, but we played one of those 2-piece fests in Chicago, and this guitar player was just nailing these like really intricate loops, like every single time, like on the dime. Like
Wow.
you would have thought that, you know, the guitar player had a metronome in their ear, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like it's one of those things. It's like there's so much that can go wrong, and there's only like one way it goes right, you know. So,
Right.
you know, but it's fun. Yeah, it's exciting, and like, I mean, you know, I feel like probably a lot of people are pushing themselves emotionally every time they go out there, and then to also
Right.
push your like other like senses in that same way is it can be difficult but rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so, you know, we were talking about before before we started recording, like you did have a really busy 2024, and you know, you started out the conversation by saying that you hoped that you'd be more organized, and I mean, your output was pretty plentiful, like for being disorganized
Yeah.
or whatever. But I guess I can kind of see maybe what you meant by that, because like your releases for the year, like they all happen in November almost, except for one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
but also like there's sort of a and I don't mean this in a negative way, but there's like a ramshackle quality to the output in this way that like one of them is like the cranes dance, the organs sing. Like that one is like really it's almost like a mixtape, you know, or
Right.
like
Yep.
like I don't, you know, that's where like the word ramshackle came from, right? Because you say right up front, you're like, 3 of these songs are just demos for something that you're going to hear later on better, kinda, right?
Right.
And then you're like, another one's live, and then another one is, you know, and so and then there's like, you know, the bird sits in the windowsill, which we just talked about a bit, which, like, you know, you recorded on a cassette deck.
Slept off of your remote, spend the winter in cars, in an upside hand. He's an addict, oh, I'm an addict, and the slipstreams on the cross, so there's that clearness. Some cutters, and sure she's an can't remember. Now she's screaming. I wish I was 6 feet under the ground. When it starts, I give the clock. Finally, take the bottom. Maybe I just pass out. I pull my own spit from my kidneys and my call down a hand of purposely plan your funeral in time. 'Cause who really wants someone screwing off? The tape machine plays in a funeral's face. Crown blocks that fills you with love. Hospital grows eerily quiet every night when the hands of shiny new men and doctors combine with your life. Then you'll understand there's no treatment plan, there's no DNR sign for your side. So ready for that side, take a knife to your head where you can pressure and it stops just like
So, like, you're saying how having these other people, like, you can rely on them, but you almost insinuated that, like, they can sort of keep you in check too, right? Like, keep like impulses, you know, or whatever. Like, is that what you meant by like organized, like, so that you're just like, okay, I promise I won't just get an idea and just throw it out there as soon as I get it. Is that sort of what you meant? Or
Kind of. I kind of already screwed this up with Forktail, and I promised not to do it again. But because I ended up releasing Olive a little earlier, and I faced the consequences, which were I mastered the record because we were originally going to have it mastered by what's his name? Hold on, let me
Olive is the one that came out in November.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We were going to have it mastered by Todd Rittman, and he masters a lot for our friend Dan Spack, who is a Milwaukee local musician and plays in bands such as A Collection of Colonies of Bees, and he's also good friends with and plays guitar with / has played guitar with Bon Iver. But we're supposed to have it mastered by Todd, but he had some family issues come up, so I ended up having to master it myself. And I didn't listen to the master before putting it on CD Baby, and I just uploaded it, and there was like a 1 minute gap in a bunch of songs, most notably Keep the Distant Way Back, and I learned my lesson pretty quickly, thankfully. But yeah, I've promised not to do it again, and I won't do it again, hopefully. And it's that band dynamic of keeping everything in check that I really enjoy, because now I've kind of learned my lesson, and you know, I now have people to rely on, but I also know that they have to rely on me as well. So I think it was a lot of getting used to, but now I think I'm used to it at this point.
Yeah.
Just having to be in a band and kind of coexist, if that makes sense. Because in Riot Baby, that wasn't really as much of a band as it was like something that we would jam on, and then, you know, someone would bring an idea, and then you know, that would be fleshed out, and we also were kind of just like, let's get this done. But now with Forktail, it's more of a serious endeavor, so it's more of like a thing that we have to plan for, and we have to kind of sit on ideas, and I think that's better, because I think that allows us to self-edit a bit more and really hone in on our craft and make sure that we have either a perfect record or at least semi-perfect record.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a big investment, like y'all having to travel to meet up and record and stuff. So, you know, you want to really make sure that you're ready for that. But how do you figure that happened with the track spacing? Was it at the ends of the songs or the beginning?
It was the ends, and I know exactly why it happened.
You had like you had like your mastered and it was like rendering like entire project and not like time selection.
Yes. Yep. That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
And
because if you told me like it happened at the beginning of the song, I would have been, I would like, how'd that? But yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It also doesn't help that I used GarageBand on Mac to convert it to CD quality, because for some reason CD Baby has like a weird stipulation where you can't have like FLAC files or anything like that. It has to be like MP3 41.
Really?
Yeah, it's really weird.
Huh.
But and I think it has to be 16-bit as well, if I'm not mistaken. It like has to be straight up CD quality. But I've thankfully learned my lesson, and you know, I won't do it again out of fear of either being fired or you know, prosecuted by my bandmates. But no, yeah, I'm happy that I have that atmosphere where I can kind of keep myself in check, but also it's much more collaborative than just doing it yourself. There's a lot more room to breathe, so to speak, because everybody kind of writes their own songs, but they can also help edit your songs, and it's really nice. Because I don't feel alone anymore, I guess, in songwriting.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off, you know?
Yeah.
Like improvising is like, I mean, it can be tricky if you don't know people. Like, you know, like I've been in rooms where it's like, show me something, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Like the vibe's off, you know? Like I don't I don't know, I don't feel like it. But like, I don't know. Like there's been other times, you know, like when it's just like I used to play in a lot of bands with my cousin, and when I would get in the room with my cousin, it was like put a guitar in my hand and it was like you couldn't shut me up. Like it would just, you know, it would just happen. But
there's those certain people that you just gel with so well, and I'm super glad, because me and Henry and Khaled and Cassius and now our new member Sadi, we all gel really well together, and we all write really well together, and that's what excites me so much about it. Is
where's this last person from?
she's also from Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
And she's a new addition, but we actually wanted to get her on the first record, but she was busy dealing with familial stuff as well. Mm-hmm. It seems to be like the crux of our band. But yeah, no. I think we're all capable of writing songs or parts with each other, and also by ourselves, and writing parts that everybody else will love in the band, which is really nice. And it's really nice that there's not just one front person as well, because it definitely takes the pressure off of me or Khaled or Henry or Sadi. And I guess it kind of proves that we all are very capable of being the front person of the band, but at the same time, there's no reason to, because all of us are capable of writing amazing songs.
Yeah.
I
what
guess.
does this do, like, as far as, like, is this your primary focus, and what's this mean, like, as far as, like, you writing your own songs? Like, do you have a kind of a automatic filter when you sit down to start writing something that you're like, this is a Forktail song, or this is this is one of my own songs?
I've learned recently, as of this month, no.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I've sent quite a few things to Henry and the band. Excuse me. I've sent a lot of things to them, like demo-wise, and a lot of stuff has poured out of me, like demo-wise, over the past few months. And a lot of it they really love, and it's ideas that they really want to continue with. But some of it like I came up with a song or two that I sent to the band, and they were like, "We can't work with this. This sounds way too polished and way too arafoadh, and we, this isn't as different as it probably should be." And I kind of fought, because I'm sure everyone is probably very protective of their songs and bands. And I've fought tooth and nail to have those songs be included. But I've accepted that they're right. Some of the songs would be better as just ARAF songs, and some would be better as Forktail songs. So I don't think there is really a filter. I think I am developing one, and the main reason why a lot of these songs are kind of rejected is because I've started to do a lot of demos in the box in Logic, as opposed to just doing them very raw, like as voice memo demos or just simple acoustic demos. And I think that's where we thrive, is just doing very simple demos and then leaving space for everybody else to work on the song once it gets into the studio or once it gets into the practice space. And it's taken a bit of learning, but I think we've hopefully come up with some sort of regimen in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, if you send something that's like more or less fully developed, it can be hard for other people to go, what am I supposed to do here?
Right, yeah.
This is already, like, what did you need me for? Like, your cheeseburger is done. I don't know what, I don't know what.
You already made the 5-star meal. What do you need? Yeah.
It's a different thing. It is funny though. Like, you mentioned like sort of being precious over these ideas, and I immediately thought, oh, I'm not like that at all. But then I was like, well, I mean, there's Coma Regalia. Like,
right.
None of my other projects, I mean, I'm as flexible as can be. Like one project, like I sent this song over, and it was, it's me and one other person, and I sent the song over, and we totally finished the song instrumentally, and then the other person is like, this actually, like, this part in the middle here with this like key change, like, that kind of bothers me, because like it makes it feel like two different songs. And I'm like, okay, I could see that, I guess. And I was like, so let's just make it two different songs. So we literally just like chopped the song in half, and it's two different songs now. Mm-hmm. And like, so there's other, like, plenty of other projects where it's just like, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, it's your show now. I did the instruments. It's your show now. Yeah. And I'm not precious about this stuff at all. But then, yeah, there's Coma Regalia, I guess, and it's like, and I'm like, I'm sending like really bad, like, I'm sending these really, like, I'll demo something with even drums on it, like, and the drums will be like really bad, right?
Right.
Because I know the drummer is like way better than me, and so it's like they'll get it, like, and like it'll be good,
Mm-hmm.
But it's like I'm just still just so like whatever about it that I'm like, I really want this to be, I don't want to just send the guitars over, because I want there to be more information for him than that, right?
Right.
Because I'm still so precious about this stuff. But I mean, even that though, even Coma Regalia though, like we write songs like 50 different ways. Like sometimes, like, I literally am just like, hey, Jason, like, how they kind of do this kind of thing in this one song, like this sort of vibe? Well, just like send me a drum track that has that vibe in there somewhere, and like I'll write like 3 songs and send him the guitars, and then he'll write like 3 or 4 songs that are just drums and send me the drums, and then we'll make a thing out of it. So like it's not any one thing. It's just, yeah, I don't know. On the albums, I guess it's like I'll definitely be more precious, and I'll be sort of looking at everything with like a a magnifying glass, and
Right.
but then yeah, so much other stuff I'm just like, nah, it's your show. Like let's see what happens. Like, and yeah, there's the whole thing, because you didn't pair up with these people because you wanted them to impersonate you, right?
Yeah.
So like, you want their input, like even if it takes you a minute to realize, like why did I expect this person to turn back what I would have done,
Right.
Like,
yeah.
So, like, I
'Cause
mean,
if there were a million of me's running around in a band, I wouldn't get anything done, and 2, nobody wants that, really. You know what I mean? The crux of Forktail, or I guess the allure of Forktail is all of us. I think everybody in the band is just amazing at songwriting and structure, and that's I guess that's the whole point. You don't go to like you don't just listen to it for one artist. You listen to it for everybody else's input.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's it's not, this isn't answering a question or anything specifically, but I was getting the when you were talking about like there's a million of you running around, and what the potential of that might be. It's like, I just felt like I want to say that, a lot of projects that I do, like I'll do all the instruments, and like,
right,
there's a reason for that. And it's not because I think that I'm better than other people. It's not because I think that it'll turn out more interesting, et cetera, et cetera. It's because like I can rely on myself getting these things done. And like, there are people that I collaborate with often, and it's like, number one, like, I consider them a good friend. I care about them. I love them. And I think that they're fantastic musicians. Mm-hmm. So that is like a no-brainer, right? But another thing is like, they're dependable. Like, and there are people that I've worked with often that I'm like, I want them to play on something, and they're like, who are we going to do with this? And who are we going to do this with? And it's more or less like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that, because like, I need things when I work on them to actually happen. And that's like the other thing is like, for every project that I have that is a success, and I'll use the word success just for the fact that it actually exists, right? To me, once it exists, once people can listen to it, it's a success. That's my only measure, is like, is it out there? Yeah. Did it cross the finish line? And for every project like that, I don't even know, like I can't even tell you how many people were attached to it who didn't show up, And it's like, and I'm not going to name names, and like, if anybody's listening that was one of those people, I don't want you to feel bad, but it's just like, this is the reality of the situation. And so when you see my name and it says like I did all the stuff, like that's why. Because like and it's like, like, I get it, stuff happens, people are busy, like, and people would always be rather be working on their one own main thing than like a bunch of random things. But like, to me, what's so special about the idea of a music community is just like being part of the community, like, and collaborating with members of the community, And so
Yeah. And
like that's my ambition, is just like to be like, you know, like, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's. And yeah, I mean, it gets tricky, but like you said, you know, like when it does work and you find those people that you can work with and everybody can bring their own thing to it, you know, yeah, it's fucking awesome.
yeah. I mean, whenever I think of Community and being in a bunch of different acts, I think of Anthony Green, because he's just he's a workhorse. He is in so many bands. He's been in so many bands since Audience of One. And it's insane. The amount of work that he puts into all of the projects that he's been in is crazy. And sometimes that doesn't work out, but 90% of the time, I'd say, or maybe not 90%. It's probably a lower percentage than that. But usually, if everybody has enough drive and enough power with that project, it usually either crosses the finish line or in some way is a success in broad terms, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously when you have someone like Anthony Green attached to a project as well, there's the probably a broad expectation of some kind of financial compensation as well. So
Right.
like,
Yeah.
you know, that doesn't, like, I can't offer people that, you know, like,
Yeah,
you know, I'm like, I can give you 5 tapes. Like that's, like, you know, that's all I'm going to sell. So, you know,
Right.
yeah, but it's, I mean, so I don't know, like it's, I mean, and it's just like, especially because I feel like, you know, that's the thing, right? Like, I feel like there's so many people out there that they're just like, I feel like there are people out there that are just like, I want this so bad. I want to be a part of something like that so bad, but nobody will take me seriously or whatever. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, I got you. Like, but don't fucking waste people's time, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like I do my best not to waste people's time. Stuff happens, you know what I mean? Like, the year I had last year, like, I am a testament to stuff happens, but like, it's like, yeah, like, I feel like there's so many people out there that want it so bad and don't get the chance, and like, that's, I mean, the idea that you could do that for somebody is amazing. Like, I love that.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, shit, people, like, hit my line, you know, just like, be real, be ready, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
I mean, I'm sure it's the same boat as you, but I'm always willing to do whatever with anyone musically. And that's always been how it is. I mean, I don't care really genre wise what it is. I love music, and I love the collaboration of it, and I love, especially in the emo and punk and screamo community, the community in the almost family-like togetherness, because I've met so many good friends in this community that I've had for years. Elias, for example, we both know him, and he's one of my good friends to this day. I mean, he's a really good friend. I've known him for 5 years now.
yeah, he's a real one.
Just,
I don't know how long I've known. nowhere to park the block. 8 is piling up and down my heart and lungs.
Say it seems dangerous to match the sound of regular heartbeat and
Today is really one of those days for me because like I was like, oh yeah, this is 30 years of Middleman Records. And
Yeah.
it's
Which,
like,
congratulations, by the way.
oh,
That's
thank you. And
totally incredible.
I like still, still know the folks for the first tape that I put out, and
Yeah.
I still know like some of the people who practiced in the warehouse in the same warehouse strip as us, and all this stuff
Yeah.
when we were just getting started. And one of the people who used to practice in the same warehouse down the strip from us was in Circle Takes the Square. And another one
Wow, yeah.
was in that band Junius. So like, I still know these people. They're still at it.
Yeah.
I'm still at it. It's like a big day for feeling sentimental for me. But yeah, yeah, you do. You really do like, you see people that come through and they go, and that's, fine. Like not everybody's, but the people that, like I've known Tom Schlatter for
Yeah.
25 years now, and,
Yep.
and yeah, it's wild. It's wild. You can meet the best people in the whole world, doing this. And yeah, I'm getting like a little bit choked up, so we're gonna
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, yeah. Speaking of Tom, I mean, it's again, that's a guy who has so much. He works so hard, and it's incredible. He's in Station now, and he's been doing hundreds of acres for a while, I believe, right?
yeah, so it's hundreds of AU. I think it's just like astronomical units, I think is what the AU is short
Really?
for.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah. Or it's like something on the. I think it's astronomical units, but it could be something on the periodic table or something like that.
Right.
I should know better. Like they told me a really long time ago. I always made the joke that it was hundreds of ow, but
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, no, Tom's a class act and like such a linchpin of the kind of
Yeah.
music that we've come to enjoy for sure. But yeah, it sounds like you're already like sort of in the middle of the next Forktail thing. Is that correct or?
Yep.
Yeah.
We've been demoing a lot for LP2. Let me see. Hold on.
You got
I mean-
rough schedule already is what's happening?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this Saturday I'll be heading back back up. I keep getting that wrong. I'll be heading back up to Milwaukee for a week, and we'll be playing our first show on the 16th in 10 days. But during that time, we'll be rehearsing and probably demoing. I suspect, and it's going to be really fun. It's always a blast to go back up there, and of course, see all my friends. But
And that's in Milwaukee
also
where
just-
y'all meet?
yes, yep.
Yeah. And this like these shows will be the full like four of you?
It should be, yes, unless someone can't make it. But that I'm sure that we'll all be there.
It'll work out one way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do like a Zoom call or something. We'll call them in. But yeah, it's just always really fun to be with them and work with them musically. And come June, we'll be holed up at our recording space at our drummer Cassius's, and for 2 weeks we'll be chopping away at LP2 and just kind of getting that sorted out, and hopefully by sometime this year or next year, it doesn't really matter, but I'd eventually hope to move to Milwaukee soon to, kind of really take it the next step further in being serious as a band, because that's what I'd really like to do is just kind of commit my time to working and, being able to afford like maybe a warehouse space or something and get a studio going. And most importantly, taking the band thing a little bit more seriously, because it's just really great. The first record, it came out almost better than we had expected, and that was all recorded in 1 week, and yeah, I mean, we're just really impressed with how well it's been received, and also how good it sounds. It sounds really good for, doing everything in an upstairs like rehearsal space almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're slowly but surely chopping away at LP2, and I'm sure that we'll do some form of EP release before that or something. We have a lot of demos in the catalog at this point. So yeah, I'd just say stay tuned, but we're always open to tell anybody a status update or anything on it.
So you said you're going up, you're meeting up, and you're going to be up there for a week. And is that for just the one show?
Yes, it will be.
Yeah, and you said that's on the 16th?
Yes.
Where's that at?
It'll be at Anodyne Coffee.
Oh, okay.
It's like this really cool, huge coffee place that has a lot of live events. Also, side tangent, but also related to coffee. Sorry if my voice is quivery or something. I drank a cup of coffee, and I probably shouldn't have, because
it's too much, huh?
It gives me nerves.
No, I drink 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and that's it. But my wife, she will drink lots of cup of coffee. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I need I will drink 1 in the morning, and a lot of times it's not even a whole cup, and then I need like a little while before I can start like drawing or whatever, because my hands, I already have like some nerve problems, so my hands are like a little bit shaky anyway, but they're extra shaky, and I'm like, I needed to wake up, but I need this to wear off now a little bit before I can, get to work on too much. But yeah, it's not, I don't know what would happen to me if I had coffee like in the afternoon or the evening. That would be bad.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah. I would just, I would never go to sleep at night. I would never stop just pacing the room. But yeah. So this should air just before that show. So I hope people hear this and turn out for the show and stuff.
Cool.
What else is like? Is it this week? Not only for getting ready for the show, but also for like sort of going through these demos and sort of like seeing how things like flesh out from there.
Yeah. I think we're just gonna try to get rehearsal stuff squared away first, but I would, and I'm sure everybody else would really like to kind of cherry pick our favorite demos that we've done so far and get them recorded and fleshed out in a way before it's almost like a pre-production area, I guess. It's a weird gray area before the record, but Yeah, I'd say that we're it's mostly for rehearsal, but it's also with that extra time squeezed in just to hangout time and demo time
Yeah.
for us. Yep.
Have you seen a lot of Milwaukee while you've been up there? Like, it's an awesome place.
I have, and it's really awesome.
Yeah.
It's extremely beautiful, especially in the summer. Um, I had such a good time up there, and it's just so fun. It's super um it's super different from Bell Fountain,
Yeah, that's what I
where
was
I
going to
reside.
say. I bet it is.
And it's especially even more different because you can walk everywhere. There's sidewalks like everywhere, and it's weird because I mean, there are sidewalks obviously here, but
Yeah, but it's not
where I
like the
live,
same kind of like it's like you don't live in like a big city, you know? So there's
yeah.
a I don't know, I don't want to say culture shock, but it's like it's just it's a lot different than what you're used to.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely was. It definitely kind of was a culture shock in a
Yeah.
way.
I mean,
I
this town that I live in, it's not small, but it's like, you know, being in like a actual city where people are like, "Do you want to go to this place?" And then you literally walk out the apartment door and go there, like by foot. Like
yeah,
it's like that is a bit of culture shock even for me. Like I don't live in I have lived in small towns, so I know even more like what that's like. But like, you know, Lafayette's like everything, you know, you have everything here, but it's just like you can't just walk there. Everything is so spread out and everything is, you know, it's
right,
like that, you know. But
yeah,
yeah, Milwaukee, it's just like you park at the show and then you can walk and get something to eat, then you can walk somewhere else and, you know, go somewhere else and you can walk over here and do this. And yeah, I don't know, it's awesome. I always enjoy going there, and not
it's
just
yeah,
because some dear friends live there for sure.
yeah.
um
Yeah, it's just really fun. It's also just yeah, it's fun to walk, I guess. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I really like walking, and I don't do it as much as I probably should because of it, of Buff Fountain not being super
walkable. Yeah, you just can't.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are you trying to like move in with members of the band? Is this going to be like a band house situation or?
No, probably not. I'll
Yeah.
probably get an apartment or something like that with my girlfriend and stuff, and just kind of move in there and kind of stay in there. But it's it's kind of a whiles away, and it's a lot to kind of figure out. There's
Yeah,
a
for
lot
sure.
to kind of set in motion with that stuff, but in concept, it's very rich, and I'm very excited to kind of explore it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, that all sounds awesome. As far as like, you know, a Rise and Fall goes, like, do you have any plans for any of that stuff in, you know, in the next coming year?
I've been pondering it a lot. Originally, I was gonna put it on pause because of Forktail kind of taking over, and I'm debating if I should or not. I know a lot of people love AF, and it's kind of dear to them. I've had a lot of people say, "Hey, your music really helped me," and it's a hard spot to kind of put down and just pick back up at a different point because of those sentiments, I guess, if that makes sense, because it's almost a motivation to keep making music as a ARAF in that sense, is to help people. And I mean, originally it was just for my own enjoyment and to help myself, work through things and whatnot. But now that it's kind of become a cornerstone for some people, and some people really seem to grasp onto it. It's odd. It's in an odd spot right now, and I'm not going to say that it's over or anything, because there's always for one, I need to work on the second record, but two, you're never really sure, especially with those solo things.
Well, I mean, you already said that, like, you're sending demos that other people don't necessarily want to work on. So
right,
you already have, like, sort of like, you gave the impression that, like, sometimes, you're sending your babies out into the world, and it's like, that song was my baby, and it's like, we don't want to work on that one. So you always can bring your babies home, I guess, is the...
And it's not even the fact that they don't want to work on it or they don't like it. It's just it's just not Forktail, I guess.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
Well,
I mean, yeah,
Henry and
I didn't
Cassius,
mean to say...
sorry to...
No, I didn't mean to make it sound like this is like, oh, these are rejected Forktail songs. Like, I don't think that's because, like, there's nothing wrong with, like, somebody just saying, like, that's not necessarily my thing. It doesn't make it a bad thing, in my opinion.
Right.
Because, like, I mean, some of my favorite songs ever are, like, literally 3 chords, and it's like, this is super not interesting when you take any one piece of this and dissect it and look at it under a microscope. Like, this borderline sucks, right? But, like, it's the whole thing, and it's like, yeah, sometimes, like, people are just like, that's not my thing, and that's totally cool. And then sometimes people just don't, like, even if you just send one kernel, like, sometimes you're already applying in your brain the other 10 layers of this, right? And so you can't be offended that people don't jump to those same conclusions. And I think that's, like, a key to, like, being a good collaborator, is just, like, knowing when you can be like, no, like, let's give this a shot, because there's a lot that can be done with this, and knowing when to just be like, it's not your thing, that's cool, and
that's that's totally understandable. And Henry has talked about doing stuff with ARAF, and he showed interest because he loves the records, and he's he's become very accustomed to it. So it's not like it's a hatred of anything, and I don't even know if it'll go away because of him almost persistently as a bandmate being like, I mean, if you come down in the summer or something, maybe we can record an ARAF thing, or so I don't think it'll go away. Maybe there'll be some live lineup of Henry and Cassius and Khaled or somebody else, or just not under the Forktail name, but and I'd of course be open to that, but Forktail right now just kind of seems a bit more important, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, well, it's everybody has an investment in that. It's not...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
And to get back to the demo thing, I'm definitely going to try to get the second record out this year. I said last year that it would probably be recorded and out, but school kind of takes over, and even in that recording environment, even being in those studios so much, it's hard to get much work done because it's still a school environment. So Yeah, I am excited to get that all squared away and kind of packaged up neatly. In other ARF news, we're kind of working on a cool little thing for oldish songs or in some older stuff as well. So I guess stay tuned for that whenever that may happen. It's just kind of been dependent on me to get everything sorted out. Yeah, I'll just go into detail about that, if that's okay. I don't know if I should because of Jordan from Bedroom Scrams DIY Jams, but I don't think he'd mind. We're hoping to repress oldest songs to 10-inch, I think, at some point, and then maybe a CD box set or something like that has kind of been in talks. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot to look forward in that field, so to speak, but I guess it's kind of on the back burner for the more important stuff, if that makes sense.
And that was my conversation with Thatcher Stevens. Thank you so much, Thatcher, for taking the time to chat with me. Thanks to all of y'all for listening wherever you are as well. Don't forget to rate and review us wherever you're listening, and tune in next week. Until then, take care and do good things.